Welcome to the show, everybody. How you doing? My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, MyBookie.ag, and it's wonderful to have you along for the ride. Scusi. For those watching the program, the dome is rather red today. The old top of the old scalp there. I didn't get a lot of details on what the family was doing yesterday for Memorial Day, other than we were going to be hanging out with some friends of ours. Turned out, I expected parade. I expected to be out there for the parade with the kids, which they loved. It was beautiful. It was wonderful seeing a lot of people served our country, marching in that parade to honor the fallen veterans, obviously, as we honor them all during Memorial Day. It was very moving. Did a wonderful job. The parade I was at, it was fantastic. And then there's a little family fun carnival afterwards that I was not told about. So no hat. No suntan lotion. And got a little bit of a burned scalp, ladies and gentlemen. But it was absolutely beautiful. All the tributes I saw on social media yesterday, the different coverage of all the events going on yesterday. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely incredible. So hope everyone got to at least enjoy the day yesterday while still giving proper reverence and respect to those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. I do hope you got to enjoy time with your family, your loved ones, and all that yesterday. I certainly did. We had a day off yesterday. That doesn't happen. The rare day off. And what I really enjoyed about the Phillies series there in Oakland, or against the A's, was the first two games, they just had that never give up mentality. And what we have seen over this 9-game stretch, I won't include the 10th game that they lost, but the 9-game stretch, I was boiling it down to how they played on the road against the Tampa Bay Rays and getting that sweep, winning the series against the Guardians, coming home and being able to start after a little bit of a down note there, able to start a 3-game sweep of the Pirates, beginning the 9-game winning streak, and then kind of doing exactly what they're supposed to do. If you would have told me the Phillies were going to go 6-1 on a 7-game road trip, including winning their 9th game in a row, I'm feeling pretty good about that. The optics of the way they went down, unfortunately, in Game 3 against the A's, just Matt Strahm blowing that lead, albeit just a 1-run lead in the 8th inning, that's frustrating. Not having the opportunity to look, I fully believe they were bringing in Jordan Romano in the 9th inning if Matt Strahm was able to get out of that 8th inning and go for 10 wins in a row. But they didn't get the opportunity. If you told me they were going to go 6-1 on the road trip, I'm still feeling pretty damn good about it. But overall, the point of all of it is to build up or stack wins and then beat a team like the Atlanta Braves. Phillies win 9 games in a row. They get that streak snapped thanks to that unfortunate Game 4. But it all means nothing if you can't beat the Braves. And don't get me wrong. It obviously matters a hell of a lot more when you eventually play the New York Mets again. That's what you really want to do. You can have as many 9-game winning streaks as you want, but if you can't beat the Braves... if you can't beat the Braves, you can't beat the Mets, then this doesn't feel like it really matters. And it just leads into the idea that we all have, which is, they could be a very similar team that they were last year, where you have one of the best records in baseball, if not the best record in baseball, which, by the way, winning percentage-wise, they still have the best record in baseball right now. We'll go through the standings because it's after Memorial Day, and that's when I actually start looking at the standings. But all the good vibes the Phillies created with a 9-game winning streak means nothing if they, again, lose 2 of 3 to the Atlanta Braves. It means nothing if later on they go and face the Mets and they get swept again. And it's funny, in the postcast comments, I see a lot of people, the New York fans are checking in on the Phillies. Oh, what are Phillies fans doing? They lost 9 games. They won 9 games in a row, and then they lost, and then they snapped, Oh, they can't beat good teams, keep beating up on these bad teams. Yeah, no. That's exactly what you want them to do. Beat up on the bad teams. After the Phillies swept the Rockies in a 4-game series, the Yankees lost to the Rockies in a game. We talk about this a lot. It's baseball. Anything can happen. Doesn't mean we have to like it, but yeah, anything can happen. It's the Phillies' job, and quite frankly, the Phillies are paid to not let anything happen. They're paid to win games. You have this 3-game series coming up now. You're coming back from the 7-game road trip. You're coming off a 9-game winning streak. Handle the business. I know you got Spencer Strider out there. Ranger Suarez. I thought it was Taijuan Walker supposed to make the start. Ranger Suarez is going to make the start today. That's who they got started out the series. Started off on a great foot. Ranger Suarez needs to do what Ranger Suarez has been doing, which is being flat out dominant from the hill. Keep that going into this Brave series and start this off right. Because if they lose game 1 of this series, it's okay, here we go. Win 9 in a row. Not going to be able to beat a team in your own division. The play that I go back to with the Braves series earlier in the year is the Johan Rojas, Zach Wheeler start. Johan Rojas in center and Mundo Sosa in left field. And Johan Rojas just letting that ball drop, and then later in the inning, a 3-run home run. Now, Zach Wheeler wasn't particularly sharp in that start. However, Johan Rojas' situation didn't really help him out at all. Let the good vibes keep ripping, Phils. You got the Braves at home. Build off. It's funny to say build off a 9-game winning streak, but yeah, build off that. Because really, all that matters is you beat your team in your division. Hey, they already got and they're going to have this for a while as well. Phillies already have in their back pocket a 3-game series that they won against the Dodgers, taking 2 of 3. Now keep that going in-house in the NL East. That's what I need to see tonight, because if you don't win tonight, it's going to be, oh, here we go. They're not going to be able to beat teams in your own division. Already got swept by the Mets. You already lost 2 or 3 to the Braves. Now you're going to be looking at a situation where you could possibly lose 2 or 3 again. Oh, here are we going to get swept by the Braves? Oh, can they salvage a win against the Braves? It all starts today. It's a whole new ball game. After Memorial Day, you start looking at the standings. After Memorial Day, you start thinking about real all-stars, who can be the all-stars on this team, and you really start thinking about where your line is going to be come end of the season and how all these wins matter. All these wins matter. All these games matter. You're not getting, it's not a point system in hockey. You get 1 point for beating a team in May, and you get 3 points for beating a team in September. It's not how it works. It all matters. So, set the tone today, Phils. Set the tone today. We'll get more into the Phillies and what went down over the weekend, the long weekend. We'll get into that coming up as the show goes on. Eagles, OTAs get underway today. From everything I have seen, everything I've read, everything I've heard, everyone is going to be there. Everyone is going to be there. It's not a matter of, well, is Jalen going to be there? No, Jalen's going to be there. They have one mandatory organized team activity. Everything else is voluntary. Not to the Eagles. Number one, we're going to get into what you expect. What can you expect from Eagles OTAs? The first step in getting back to the Super Bowl. The first step in getting back to Broad Street to provide a parade for the city of Philadelphia. The first step in Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, this offensive line, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Dillon. The first step in these guys working under Kevin Patullo. KP, as he has become known, KP was a shadow of Kellen Moore. In the offseason, we have heard Nick Sirianni talk about how he was jealous, a little tongue-in-cheek, jealous of the relationship between Kellen Moore and Kevin Patullo. The question, and if you've been listening to the show, watching the show for a while, the question I have about Kevin Patullo still hasn't been answered. Two questions I have. One is not going to be answered until we actually see the offense on the football field for a regular season game. So I'm just going to have to sit tight for that. The other question I have is, and this could have a total legitimate answer. I don't ask to try to stump anybody. This is a pretty easy question. Why was Kevin Patullo ready now to take over the offensive coordinator position as opposed to 2 years ago when he decided to go with Brian Johnson, excuse me. I always mess it up. Brian Johnson, former Eagles offensive coordinator. Why now was Kevin Patullo ready? Also, why was Kevin Patullo ready now as opposed to Kellen Moore? Now, the second question there is, well, obviously after Brian Johnson. You wanted to bring in somebody who was more established, and you did that. But why, when it came between Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo, did you elevate Kevin Patullo to associate head coach as opposed to offensive coordinator and play caller? And Brian Johnson, why did you elevate him to offensive coordinator? What's changed? Has Kevin Patullo become substantially better in those 2 years of not doing the job that he's now doing? We've seen stranger things happen. Howie Roseman came back after a banishment from the front office, and all of a sudden that guy's winning Super Bowls. He's going to Super Bowls. Kevin Patullo be like, well, you're not ready for this yet, but you will be. Howie Roseman, you're not ready for this now, but you will be. I need to hear more of what I heard 2 weeks ago now from A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and Jordan Mailata and Nick Sirianni, just about overall having command of the offense as a play caller, having a feel for it. Now, that's not going to come full tilt until you start getting into actually playing games in the preseason, and that won't come full tilt until you get into the regular season. I think we all know that. But just continue to give me the good signs. Anything can be said from now till the end of OTAs. Anything can be said from now to the end of training camp to make us believe one thing or another. We read into it all the time when you talk about the right guard position. We did it last year. We're going to do it again this year. But anything can be said. It doesn't have to be, wow, Kevin Patullo sucks. No, we don't. That's not happening. All right. But it's always the way these guys speak about a coach, speak about a play caller, whether it's A.J. Brown or Jalen Hurts. There's always little things you can pick up, little nuances that's in the colors that you pick up. And you go, oh, this doesn't sound good. Or, oh, this sounds like it's status quo. Maybe he did learn a lot from Kellen Moore. Maybe he did learn a lot over the last 2 years. But I will say, those are questions I have about Kevin Patullo. Overall, I feel pretty damn good about where this Philadelphia Eagles offense is at. Now, the problem the Eagles went into or fell into the year after they lost the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs was that they had a phenomenal amount of talent. And they had Brian Johnson on staff, and I feel like they were pretty damn cocky about their offense. They looked at a guy that finished as a runner-up in the MVP voting in Jalen Hurts. They looked at a guy that was a fumble away and a pass interference call away, defensive holding call away in the Super Bowl from being a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And they said, all right, this offense is stacked. Our offensive line is great. Yeah, sure, Brian Johnson can be the offensive coordinator. Who's going to mess this up? Well, the Eagles certainly found a way to mess that up by the end of the season. 1-6. I don't have the same vibe this year as I did that year. Now, that could be one big reason as well. They're coming off a Super Bowl victory, so you kind of feel like they're in a really good spot. The other is, in case of emergency, Saquon Barkley is waiting behind that glass. Now, you guys know that my number one ask of the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2025 regular season is find a way just to have Saquon Barkley have a little less workload. A little less. I do think it matters when you have 482 touches in a regular season and postseason. I don't think that that's nothing going into the next year. I think he's in phenomenal shape. I don't think he was dragging defenders with him every single run. I don't think he was a lot of hard runs and all that stuff. That's still a rather huge workload. So one of the things I want to hear coming out of OTAs is how Kevin Patullo in this passing offense is on point. I want to hear Jalen Hurts on point. We all snicker at the idea of Jalen Hurts' passing stats, spearheaded by our friend Elliott Shore-Parks, keeping the stats in training camp and all that. Well, he looked pretty crisp to me in the season, Jalen Hurts, after having a very crisp training camp. I just want to know that everything has been I just want to know that everything's going to be the status quo. And the status quo is Super Bowl contender. I'd love to see Jalen Hurts take on more of responsibility when it comes to making the plays. I know he doesn't get the stats when he checks down to a Saquon Barkley run because he notices something in the defense and goes, oh, no, we got the perfect counterpunch for this. Here you go, Saquon, see you. I love that. But if this Eagles team can find a way to be a middle-of-the-road passing offense, not in terms of efficiency, but in terms of usage, to try to have more success with moving the football downfield than as reliant as they were last year with Saquon Barkley, then I think they're going to continue to do great things. And then when you get to the playoffs, unleash fury. Unleash fury. And this team is good enough to be able to do that. So I don't have the same vibe with the new offensive coordinators I've had in years past. I certainly don't have it with the Brian Johnson fiasco that happened offensively. And it wasn't just Brian Johnson's fault, but a lot of things went into that made that fail ultimately at the end of the season. I don't have that same feel. It comes down to the experience of actually winning the Super Bowl with this team. Nick Sirianni staying put, obviously. And it also comes down to the idea that you got Saquon Barkley back there. So if all else fails, if you can't have an uptick in how you're using your passing game. Last year, by the way, side note on that, last year was the first year I ever looked at the Philadelphia Eagles and went, are they really abandoning the pass game? That's not supposed to happen. They're supposed to abandon the run. And then we're supposed to all be really angry about that. But no, that's not the way it happened at all. Just they kept running the football. And I ain't angry at it. I'm just saying I think the smart play here, the wise play, would be have Jalen and AJ and Devontae Smith take on a little bit more of the workload so that Saquon Barkley is not, inching close to 420 touches by the time the postseason rolls around. That's where I'd like to see the Philadelphia Eagles at. But I don't have the same vibe. The same from 3 years ago because the vibe is pretty much, the vibe is fantastic after winning a Super Bowl and knowing that you still have Saquon Barkley here. And knowing Jeff Stoutland's still here. That's the vibe. But it all starts today. So I look forward to seeing who speaks. I look forward to seeing the stories that come out of it. And we will be following it all. We'll continue to talk about OTAs as the show goes on. Also, NBA playoffs are just absolutely insane. I don't know if you guys saw what happened in Minnesota last night. But great awareness by a fan. Phenomenal awareness by a fan. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. And, of course, as we always do, we'll get into our chat check at the end of the program. Welcome in. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's wonderful to have you along for the ride. And for those that just joined us, yes, I hope you guys were able to enjoy and pay respects and reverence on Memorial Day as well. So let's get into this, all right? Number one, OTAs. Other than what I just laid out for you when it comes to the coaching and all that, and knowing that everything's going to be status quo, one of the things that I am very curious to see has nothing to do with the offensive side of the football. As I mentioned with Kevin Patullo, it's all going to come down to OTAs getting done, training camp getting done, preseason done, regular season. What kind of play caller is Kevin Patullo? That's when we're really going to know. Everything else is going to be little nuggets that are dropped along the way, little breadcrumbs dropped along to make a trail leading up to how we should be anticipating or what we should anticipate a Kevin Patullo called offense, what it should look like. Defensively speaking is where the questions are. Now, everything I say is going to be under the canopy, under the umbrella of Justin Simmons is going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. That's happening. All right, I'm still on that train. But until he is, we got to talk about Drew Makuba as the starting safety next to Reed Blankenship. I have no doubt that that's the intent right now, as is, of the roster compiled right now. The intent is Drew Makuba starts day one. I'm going to be rooting for the best guy. My gut feeling is who's on the roster right now, Drew Makuba is going to be your number one guy. I'm curious to see what the depth chart looks like when they're running. Who's running with the ones? All that stuff. In OTAs even. Yes, what's the number one thing? Is it going to be Sidney Jones going out there? Sidney Brown going out there? Excuse me. That was a horrible mistake. Sidney Brown going out there as your number one guy? Is it going to be Tristan McCollum as your number one guy? All the questions, with the exception of who your right guard is, and that's something I don't think people care about because they just love Jeff Stoutland that much. And trust Jeff Stoutland that much. The major questions with this football team are on the defensive side of the football. Now, I have no doubt, and this is something that you have to love about Vic Fangio. He always says he doesn't name starters. He acknowledges the starter. The team's going to tell you. The players are going to tell you who's the number one guy, Who's going to be your outside linebacker? Who's going to be your inside linebacker? Who's going to be your starting safety? Who's going to be your starting outside corner opposite Quenyon Mitchell? Oh, if you're asking that question and you're considering Cooper DeJean, which I still doubt, who's going to be your slot corner? Who's going to be your nickel? It's Cooper DeJean. Let's just, okay. Defensive line, who takes over for Milton Williams? You're going to be looking at Ty Robertson, you're looking at Moro Ojomo. Who are the guys that are going to be filling those big spots left behind by starters that helped you win a Super Bowl last year? Does Jordan Davis expand his game to not just be a run stuffer? These are the questions. It all starts at OTAs. I really want to hear just glowing things. And this is, look, obviously skill set wise, we still got to learn how these guys are going to do in the NFL level. So this is the time you learn about work ethic and approach. This is the time you don't want to be hearing stories about, well, somebody's overweight. Somebody is, not really dedicated to it. Somebody really hasn't, even looked at their playbook yet. You don't want those stories this week. I want to hear this week about Jahad Campbell having an insane approach as a rookie, about how he really does want to go out there. Like he has, hey, what kind of player are you? I'm a weapon. That type of mentality. I want to see that actually acted out on a professional football field surface at the NovaCare complex. I want to hear about how this kid is just poised for greatness because of his approach to the game and understanding that this isn't, college football anymore. This is the real deal. This is where everyone's going to be judging you from the moment you step foot on that football field. The talk's over. The anticipation of it all is over. When it comes to the rookie class, it even comes to the new guys on this football team. Forget about even if you're a veteran like Adoree Jackson, for instance, you're coming in here and trying to take over a quarterback position that was spearheaded by Darius Slay and having success, going to 2 Super Bowls, winning a Super Bowl, being one of the leaders on this defense. How are you going to take over that responsibility? How are you going to compete? Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson, how are you guys competing for that outside corner spot? Is Moro Ojomo ready for that step forward on the defensive line? These are all things you're going to be looking at, and all things you're just going to be hearing about how guys are progressing and getting their feet wet, whether they're a rookie or they're a newcomer to the Philadelphia Eagles. Azeez Ojulari, healthy. Josh Uche, ready to go. These are all the storylines you're going to be following. There are going to be moments of, oh, yeah, that guy. I remember him. Stuff like that from last year to this year. If there's a microscope right now, people are going to have it on Kevin Patullo, but the many microscopes are under what the defense is going to look like. And who's going to be ready to step up. And the Eagles, in my mind, don't just have a Josh Sweat role to fill. They're still trying to fill a void left behind by Hassan Reddick. If you can get that kind of pressure defensively, oh my goodness gracious, that'll be a huge step up for you. Brandon Graham has been saying this entire offseason, before he retired, after he retired, he's still going to be around the team in some capacity. That's great, but they still need somebody else, whether that's Nolan Smith, whether that's Jahad Campbell, whoever it might be. Who's going to be that guy to step up? All these storylines really start to get wooded at OTAs. One of the most comforting things about the Eagles potentially getting back there, aside from the talent that they have offensively on the football as players, one of the most comforting things is trusting in the coaches. Even through his worst moments, Nick Sirianni, the argument you can always make for this guy is that he's got his team ready to play football. You talk about starting out of the gate 10-1, 3 seasons in a row, and making the playoffs every year and 2 Super Bowl appearances. This guy knows how to dial the team in. You've heard Jason Kelce in the past talk about, of all the coaches that he's been here for, and you're talking about Andy Reid, talking about Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni, all the coaches he played here in Philadelphia under. He said the guy that is the absolute best at running that team meeting is Nick Sirianni. So, for any question you might want to ask about, what is it you say you do here? Well, he's got that pretty locked in, and those are important. Those aren't nothing. Those are far from nothing. He knows how to get his team focused. And then you look at the defensive side of the football and you go, who do you trust more than Vic Fangio? especially when you know he is working hand in hand with Howie Roseman about players that he wants to come into his defense, even to the point where Howie will even acknowledge, oh, yeah, when we talked about Zach Ball, this is the tape, and no, Vic liked him more on the inside, and I thought he was outside. There's no better example than working hand in hand. And then you also go to the draft, and you talk about getting Jahad Campbell, and you see Vic Fangio come into the room with a smile from ear to ear that they just got Jahad Campbell on his defense. Yeah, they're working together. So it's hard not to trust in that. The most obvious of it all is Jeff Stoutland. How do you not trust whether Drew Kendall is going to be your starting right guard or Tyler Steen's your starting right guard? You got trust that they're going to make the right decision. Whoever goes in there. By the way, I'm rooting for Drew Kendall. Like, nothing against Tyler Steen. I just rather restart the clock at right guard and have a guy that won't be due a contract for 4 more years. Yeah, I'll take that guy. I'll take that guy over Tyler Steen. So I'm going to be rooting for Drew Kendall. But either way, who's ever played that spot, you got a hell of a lot of confidence. Jeff Stoutland will just be like, oh, all right, here's my magical offensive lineman fairy dust. Boom, you're a Pro Bowler. I think that's how most people feel about the right guard spot here in Philadelphia. But bottom line is you have trust in that spot. Now, the question, of course, is Kevin Patullo. All that you can expect out of this. Like, if you're expecting A.J. Brown or Jalen Hurts to go through their first round of OTAs with Kevin Patullo and be like, this guy's a genius. Like, that's not happening. And even if it does, I'll be like, yeah, okay, let me see this happen in a regular season football game where he wows me with amazing play calls. You know, we're not gonna know about. We're not gonna hear about it until you actually go through a game. So all I want to hear is that the guy's got his you-know-what together. I just want to hear exactly what I heard 2 weeks ago. He's got it. He's got it together. He's taking command of the meetings. He's well organized. He communicates well. Give me a little ounce of creativity here. And the overall thing is definitely, without question, give me a good balance that I know Saquon Barkley can make it through another season healthy. And the way I believe you do that is you put more responsibility on the passing offense. Now, I don't need a 70% pass, offense. I don't need a 65% offense that passes like that. I just need to know that going through these games, Saquon Barkley isn't going to be required to be as much of a bell cow as he was last year. And hey, 2,000 yards is great. Eric Dickerson's rushing record is phenomenal. Love to see it all broken. I would like to see it in fewer carries, fewer touches, including the receptions as well. Just less there. More reliant on Jalen Hurts' arm. And I know some people that's, can Jalen Hurts, can he win a game if he's got to throw? Did you catch the Super Bowl? That was pretty awesome. He had to throw, and he was the most valuable player. So that answers that question. So we're not going to know truly what we have from Kevin Patullo, obviously, until much later. But just give me all the signs that continue to, when you follow the bread trail, all right, this guy's well on his way to having a great control of the offense, a great idea of what he wants to do. And this is why the Eagles did hire him within. This is the reason the Eagles didn't go out and hire somebody else. So I do look forward to that. And then just kind of off the beaten path. I for as much as you can be impressed with a guy that's a third string quarterback in Tanner McKee, I was impressed by the limited amount of reps you saw from Tanner McKee last year. Continue progressing in that regard. I mean, just keep that going. Quarterback factory. Just keep it coming, baby. Just keep it coming. So I look forward to all that and all those storylines coming to fruition when it comes to OTAs, which get underway today at the NovaCare Complex. Hit me up in the comments, obviously, with things you're going to be looking at for the for Eagles OTAs. Maybe a storyline I didn't talk about that you're certainly going to be paying attention to. All right. It's Memorial Day, the day after Memorial Day. So that means here's the standings. Now, I'm not going to put these up every day. All right, let me just get that out of the way. Philadelphia Phillies first place in the NL East over the New York Mets. They are 8.5 games better than the Atlanta Braves, who come to town today to start a 3-game series with the Philadelphia Phillies. Overall, the grand scheme of things in baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies have the best record in baseball, win percentage-wise. The Detroit Tigers have one more win, one more loss, like a bunch of losers. The New York Yankees in there at 33-20. Chicago Cubbies, who the Phillies took 2 of 3 from, 33-21. LA Dodgers, who the Phillies took 2 of 3 from, 33-21. New York Mets, who the Phillies got swept by, 33-21 as well. That's the way it looks right now on the day after Memorial Day. As I said at the start of the show, the 9-game winning streak was great. Great. Good for them. Good for us. A 9-game winning streak for the Phillies? Yeah, every time. Sign me up, please. It means nothing if you lose another series to the Braves. Overall, if you beat up on teams you're supposed to beat up on, which is my exact takeaway from the Phillies Rockies and Phillies A's series. Now they lost the final game against the A's, but they won the series. They swept the Rockies in a 4-game set. No matter who you are, that's pretty tough to do. The positive vibes surrounding the Phillies get thrown away if you can't beat teams in your own division. A couple of things that I took away from the road trip. Number one, the Phillies right now are trying the Matt Strahm, Jordan Romano 1-2 punch in the 8th and 9th innings to close out games. I'm rooting for it. I'm not betting on it. Obviously, you want that to work out. Matt Strahm struggling the way he did in Game 3 against the A's, that's rough. Jordan Romano struggling the way he struggled against the A's in Game 2, that was rougher because he just got shelled. You won the game, but he got shelled. Look, the guy has been a 2-time All-Star. The guy's been a closer. I think that there's a better version of Jordan Romano than what we have seen so far as him as a Philadelphia Philly. He had a really nice stretch for himself and then gave up a 3-run home run to make it a 4-3 game. A little too close for comfort in Game 2. Matt Strahm, for a guy that at the time Jose Alvarado went down, had a very similar ERA, a little bit more, a little higher than it was for Jose Alvarado, but he's still a guy you're going to be relying on heavily in the bullpen. Tanner Banks looks like he might be figuring some stuff out for himself, which is a sight for sore eyes considering the state of the Phillies bullpen right now. So, concern-wise going forward, I will always, with this lineup, have a concern of just all of a sudden going cold. Getting through a season with 95 to 100 wins, 96 wins, whatever. Getting through a season like that would be great. But I still have concerns about what the offense would do in the postseason. When you face a team like the Mets, who certainly knows how to pitch you, okay? But my concern right now with this Phillies team, not going into the future, right now, if you could tell me, solve this problem and you'll be on your way, I'm a happy camper. It's bullpen. I didn't have a lot of confidence. None of us had a lot of confidence in this Phillies bullpen to begin with. And then you lose Jose Alvarado for an 80-game suspension. You know you're not going to have him in the postseason. Yeah, I need to see Dave Dombrowski do something sooner rather than later. And in a lot of ways, you can look at this series with the Braves as maybe the measuring stick series, even though they're a team that is certainly struggling. Again, 8.5 games out of first place. Even at that, even acknowledging that, it's still a test because they took 2 or 3 earlier in the season from you. Maybe Dave Dombrowski is looking at this as, okay, if we lose 2 or 3 to the Braves or we get swept by the Braves, maybe that'll light a little bit more of a fire under his butt to actually get something done in the bullpen. But as of right now, they are solving this problem, and they are hell-bent on solving this problem in-house. I do not see any significant move made before the trade, well before the trade deadline that is going to make us go, that are going to make it, the Phillies, great move, Dave Dombrowski. Really, the most is a David Robertson type deal where they bring him out of free agency, they bring him out of essential almost retirement, or you see cash considerations, low A prospect getting dealt to bring in somebody that can help you. An aging reliever. They ain't getting Mason Miller. Not that he had a good showing for himself for the A's over the weekend. But that's where I see the Phillies going in the near future. Long term, a lot more will be determined. But as of right now, I see this Brave series as potentially being the series where Dave Dombrowski goes, all right, let's make something happen here. Because I think even Dave Dombrowski is looking at this Braves team and going, oh, no, they're better than this. Getting Acuna back, he homers in his first 2 games. Spencer Strider getting things underway for himself against Suarez Strider today. That's where I think Dave Dombrowski goes. After this, you got the Brewers, so it's a 6-game homestand, then Toronto, in Toronto, then Pittsburgh, at Pittsburgh, then the Cubs, then Toronto again, then the Marlins, and then you don't have the Mets again for a little bit less than a month. June 20th, 21st, and 22nd is the next time you see the New York Mets. And that'll be another measuring stick series. So, hey, look, the Phillies on the road trip did exactly what they were supposed to do. They stacked wins. But all that good energy, all those positive vibes fly out the window. As far as where a lot of the Phillies are right now at this point, batting average-wise, this is at the conclusion of Game 3 against the A's. Bryson Stott being down to 257 with a 316 on-base percentage as a leadoff hitter, not ideal. Phillies are 20-10 now with him as a leadoff hitter. Look, Bryson Stott unfortunately had a shoulder injury last year that caused him to really skydive from grace. Fell off a cliff. I don't want to see that same thing happening this year. And seeing those numbers, they are not becoming of a man who has a team 20-10 when he's a leadoff hitter. Trey Turner just continues to hit. I've been very impressed with everything you've seen from Trey Turner, especially over the last month of the season. I mean, Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto struggling so much in Game 3 against the A's. That one certainly sucked. JT, he was a big talking point on the postcast. JT Realmuto's numbers being where they are right now was a 232. 232 with a 303 on base percentage. That is terrible. Talking about a contract year. Defensively, I mean, nobody can argue how great he is defensively. Offensively speaking, leaving a lot to be desired. But here's the rub. Rafael Marchand's giving you nothing. He is giving you nothing. So I do believe the Phillies got a JT Realmuto problem in the batter's box. I was really hoping, as you guys know, before the season started, I was hoping that Rafael Marchand was going to be able to give JT Realmuto a little bit more of a break throughout the year. Well, he hasn't earned that, and nor do I want him to play more when he's not playing well. Catching position right now is a problem, offensively speaking. And we all love Stubbs, but it's not like he's going to come up here and rake, unfortunately. Don't know what the Phillies' answer is long term, but it's quite possible that JT Realmuto is in his last season as a Philadelphia Philly. So that's something that's definitely worth pointing out. Bryce Harper, again, just a rough Game 4. I like overall what I've been seeing from Bryce Harper. The month of May, a lot of these guys have just been on fire. And no better example of that than Alec Boehm, who has really helped turn his season around over the last month, including all 4 of his home runs now. May has been a really good month for him. And last year, around this same time, we were talking about the Phillies as a 37-14 win team. That's how we were looking at the Phils. They're 34-19 right now. I still believe the Phillies have a better brand of baseball in them. Last year, I remember talking about it at this point saying, wow, what if the Phillies still had an unbelievable June? What if they played as well as they played to this point? 37-14. What if they still had another step higher? More so this year than I did last year. I really feel as if the Phillies have a much better brand of baseball in them going into June than I did a year ago. And then the other factor into all of this is Kyle Schwarber is having an all-star season. 18 home runs now in the season. I think he's on pace for 53 home runs now. I think that dropped a little bit. 55 home runs. He's on pace for 55 home runs right now. To see his batting average up to 257, that might not sound like a lot to people, But when you're used to a guy hitting 220, home run or bust type of numbers, home run or walk type of numbers, 257 makes you feel pretty good. I feel like right now you're starting to see Kyle Schwarber benefit from the lack of shifts that he hasn't seen, like the old school shift. The shift rules, I think, are just starting to benefit him this year more so than ever. His season is absolutely incredible. And you want to see him obviously continue to do that. You think about the month that he's had, 11 home runs I think he's had in the month of May? 9 home runs he's hit in the month of May with a couple of days to spare here. Keep that going for himself. By the way, 271 in the month of May with a near 400 on base percentage for Kyle Schwarber. That's pretty good. Keep that going. They always say, it's not even June. We always talk about, it's not even June yet for Kyle Schwarber. Kyle last year, interesting months in his breakdowns. Now, 38 home runs on the season for Kyle Schwarber. He had 7 home runs in April. He had 3 home runs in April last year compared to the 9 he's got now. In June, the month he's supposed to absolutely go off, 6 home runs. His only double-digit homer season last year, only double-digit homer month last year, was September when he hit 10. He also hit 293. This is a pretty incredible run that Kyle Schwarber is on right now. He has been the most impressive thing in that lineup all season long. I love him hitting cleanup. I love him hitting. I love him being behind Bryce Harper. I love him getting up there with the RBI situations, runners in scoring position. The more of that, the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. So lineup-wise, that's what I've really liked about this Phillies team, and it's also where my concerns lie when it comes to the catching position, especially at the plate with JT Realmuto, Rafael Marchand, and all that. Bullpen's obviously concerned. Starting pitching-wise, Zach Wheeler, after, God forbid, not having quality starts in back-to-back starts, he's been great. Aaron Nola, obviously concerned. You cross your fingers and you hope he comes back after the ankle injury, which is still bothering him, lingering, unfortunately. Hopefully he comes back and you're able to get something out of him of the positive variety when he comes back. Ranger Suarez has been great since he's come back. Christopher Sanchez has been great, despite his last start being his shortest start since he was pulled in that start against the Mets after just 2 innings. You're really impressed by what you've seen in the start. Even Taijuan Walker hasn't been a complete disaster in the starting pitching category here for the Phils. Jesus Luzardo is going to be an all-star this year, most likely. What an addition. You have gotten some spectacular run out of Jesus Luzardo to this point this year, and you just hope that continues. And the Phillies have certainly tested him now. 105 pitches again in his last start. Unfortunately, the Phillies weren't able to get him that win. 7 innings. He goes out there after a 3-run first inning on Sunday. And he just pitched his butt off after that inning. 6 innings of scoreless baseball after that. 10 strikeouts, 105 pitches. He locked in after that first inning. But all season long, we've been extremely impressed by what we've seen from Jesus Luzardo. So for the Phillies, going into the month of June, going into this 3-game series against the Braves, keep the good vibes going, babe. Keep the good vibes going. That's what I charge them with. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. Also, don't forget about the Game Time Picks feature. That's the Game Time Picks feature, which allows you to filter out all the fluff. You get right down to it. The best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. And don't forget about the all-in pricing feature. You see exactly what you're paying before you check out. And you can view your seat's vantage point before you check out. So you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase with the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsStation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? SkyMotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. One thing I should say is yesterday was a 2-cigar day. It was nice. I was in the shade at this point. It was a 2-cigar day. Having the residual effects this morning. Gotta stay hydrated. All right, let's get into the chat check. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? Buddy Christ. Hello, Buddy Christ. Sean Gillespie, hello. Rye, what's up, Rye? Morning, Farzy and friend. Dallas sucks. Long live Jerry Jones. Hope the 24 anti-push whiners had a lovely weekend of misery. There you go. Jason A, hello. Hope you're great. Thank you. I hope you did as well. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Danny, hey, Danny, what's going on? James Jones, colder Memorial Day in Virginia. Sorry, it was colder up here. It wasn't even pool. It wasn't even a good pool day. You know, a little chilly. April, good morning, April. Ranger will set the tone. Jason A, I hope he sets the tone today. How about that Ranger Suarez, by the way? He just came up an inning, a third of an inning, an out away from another 7-inning performance. I mean, the Phillies really are just kind of rewriting the way things are done. Ranger Suarez 3-0 in, is that 3-0 4 starts now? 3-0 in 4 starts. Yeah, he was an out away from his third straight 7-inning start. That's pretty damn good. Sean Gillespie, hello. This is an exact question concerning our new offensive coordinator and the reason for my fears. Not to mention the Super Bowl hangover is very real. I was thinking about this a little bit with a conversation I was having with somebody over the weekend, Sean. So it's interesting. Super Bowl hangover. The banquet tour. Okay, everyone wants to talk about the banquet tour when it comes to a team winning a championship. The most famous is Cole Hamels, unfortunately. The darling of everyone, the World Series MVP, and the banquet tour, and the offseason accolades, and how amazing that was. He came back in 2009, a much different pitcher, and had a really rough year. Certainly not the year becoming of a World Series MVP or a guy that pitched as well as he did throughout the entire postseason. Jalen Hurts, after the runner-up MVP year, the Super Bowl appearance year, he got attention. And he embraced it. He took advantage of it. And as he should. I have heard from people in the know that he went through that time, realized that this was a time where he's got to build the brand. Much rather just would have concentrated wholly on football. I bring it up only to say that after this Super Bowl championship, I don't believe there's a banquet tour. Now, yeah, sure. Oh, I saw he was at the Met. He was at the Met Gala. Okay, he's going to live a life. He's going to have fun. No one's saying he can't have fun. But make no mistake about it. I always thought he was a dialed-in guy. And this isn't just Jalen, but a lot of people in that locker room feel like winning a Super Bowl only made them thirsty for more. I mean, hearing A.J. Brown talk about how a couple of, moments after you win the Super Bowl, you're like, oh, wow, okay. Like, this is the moment everything's built up for. This is why we practice. This is why we lift them damn weights. After it was over, it was like, oh, okay. All right, well, let's win another one. The story I always go back to with Jalen Hurts is talking to the media at his locker on clean-out day before the parade, talking about this, how winning a Super Bowl messed with his offseason workout schedule and how he felt like he was behind because, he was busy winning a Super Bowl. Like, how do you not love that guy? I don't have a fear with the Super Bowl hangover. I don't have a fear with the banquet tour because I do think that this team is even more locked in now. And defensively, I think they have enough players that are hungry and ready to prove something. And the other thing is I think there's two ways you can take winning the championship. You can take it as, wow, we're great. Or you can take it as people think we didn't earn this. And it's crazy. You won the Super Bowl in a blowout. You won the NFC Championship game in a blowout. It wasn't a contest who the best team in football was last year. Like, you decided that handily for yourselves. But it's amazing. Even after that, you can still convince yourself that people doubt you. It was a fluke. It was luck. All right, have that as motivation. So I am not one to be concerned with the Super Bowl hangover. Not with this team. I do acknowledge it exists. I don't see it with the Philadelphia Eagles. Ooh, Ernest Wallace. Interesting. Passing game gets better. We develop a two-headed monster in the backfield. Are you talking about A.J. Dillon and Saquon Barkley? That'd be interesting. James Jones, hello. Yeah, another coordinator to learn, rebuild all over again. I wouldn't say rebuild again. But hopefully it's, I don't see it as Brian Johnson all over again. Be careful. What's up? I think the offense will be balanced, more like the championship games. All right. I'm with you there. I hope that's the case. Kellen gone. Who know what dude bring in, says James Jones. There's going to be fingerprints from KP, Kevin Patullo. James Jones, who know what style he's looking for first year as a play caller. He'll be looking for Nick Sirianni style, which I know a lot of people don't want to admit this. They want to just give all the credit to Kellen Moore. But what they did a lot of last year was a lot of what they did in 2022 with Nick Sirianni. It looked more like a Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen offense than it did anything we saw from Kellen Moore in years past. Jim West, VT, hello. OTA questions. Who is the second corner, safety, and order of rushers? Sweat and BG gone. It will be interesting what the depth chart looks like. Yeah, that's perfect. I think you and I are on the same page there. Who's opposite Quentin Mitchell? Who's opposite Reed Blankenship? I mean, look, here's the one guarantee as far as I'm concerned. Nolan Smith is the guy. Nolan Smith is the new BG as far as vibes and the new 9.5 sack guy when it comes to Josh Sweat. Like, he's the new. If I had to make any type of bold prediction right now, I would say 11.5 sacks for Nolan Smith. That would be my number for him. Wait, hold up. Storyline, y'all been talking tush push while the rest been getting better. He's actual redhead in support of Lil Toots. That's funny. Sean Kilray, what's going on? He plays a lot like Buda Baker, like he throws that ish around. He's a coach's dream in that respect. Former Texas safeties coach Blake Gideon on Drew Makuba. Well, Drew Makuba likes to say that he models his game after Buda Baker. Buda Baker, the apple of a lot of people's eyes. I want to see it. It's just going to be hard for him to jump Justin Simmons on the depth chart. Whatever it is. Now, people say, well, why wait? Why if you're so sure? If you're so sure, why haven't the Eagles signed him already? Well, I'll tell you why. Why would Justin Simmons sign right now? Of all the teams, Justin Simmons, the team that Justin Simmons needs to learn is the Philadelphia Eagles. If Justin Simmons is still available just before training camp or a week into training camp, and some other team's safety blows out their Achilles and they desperately need a safety, Justin Simmons go make some more money. That's why he hasn't signed yet. But I believe when training camp gets closer and closer and possibly even starts, Justin Simmons will be a Philadelphia Eagle. That's where I'm at. Oh, I didn't see this. Roger Goodell's trying to ban void years on contracts. Thank you, Brian. Trying to ban void years. Roger Goodell witch hunt against the Eagles continues. Right? Jason A., you're excited for June and the Schwarbarian to pop off? Jason A., Schwarb's better be an all-star, says Jason A. I've never seen him this good. I think it was Ryan. I think Ryan Howard in 2009, I want to say at the All-Star break, was leading the league in home runs and RBIs and was not an All-Star. That's insane. So hopefully, yeah, that doesn't happen to Kyle Schwarber. Hardcore for all. One of my Phillies are 5th in hits and 7th in runs scored league-wide. Love it. Better see that than not. Jason A., Luzardo has been awesome. Has been an awesome surprise. Yeah, I mean, health-wise, not an issue at all. Talent-wise, fantastic. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Good to see you. James Jones going off in here, trying to give some love to others. Brian Pumper, Dog Cooper looking big now. But he hasn't done cardio since the Super Bowl. Cooper Jean does look swole. Yoked? Is that the more modern term? Yoked. James Jones, Farzy, who's the biggest homer here? You, Xander, or John? I don't know any. I don't know any of them to be homers. I mean, it's easy to sound like a homer when your team just won the Super Bowl and they're running it back with that offense. Oh, and that offense was historic. It's kind of easy to sound like a homer in that regard. Gorby. What's up, Gorby? Is Petula just going to be a yes man for Nick? No. I do not believe that. East Coast Rico? What's up, East Coast Rico? Love the show, man. Keep it up. Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Having a good time. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as – oh, wait, here we go. Hold on. Brian Mack, what's up? This could be 2023 all over again. Would have brought in a proven offensive coordinator. Yeah. Quarterback factory, offensive coordinator factory, I guess. I understand why people would be skeptical. Look, I have questions. My overall, it's going to be so hard to mess up the talent on this offense. But my questions are, why is all of a sudden Kevin Petula ready for this job? And will he ask more of the passing game? Those are my questions. So they won't get answered, unfortunately, until we actually see him out there. Oh, right. Great question. Farzy, you see the ridiculous contract Brock Purdy got? 40 whiners will suck for a long time now. That contract, yes. Let me pull up the numbers. That contract is insane. When I saw that, was it 250? Oh, come on. Brock Purdy's great. Brock Purdy's so awesome. Brock Purdy, yay. Oh, this isn't going to give it to me. This is going to be a paywall. You bastards. $270 million over the next 6 years. Five-year, $265 million extension with Brock Purdy is the largest pay raise in NFL history. It's not terrible to be a game manager, okay? But a game manager to me means he's not going to win you the game. He's not going to lose you the game. He's just going to do enough to not lose you the game. That's a game manager. Brock Purdy ain't winning you anything. You're not winning with Brock Purdy. That offense is not great, especially now that they just lost one of their better weapons. Unfortunately, coming to the Eagles division. But Christian McCaffrey getting any younger? No? Oh, interesting. That's a lot of money for a game manager. You could draft that. So, yeah, I did see that. Those were my thoughts on it. It's pretty ridiculous. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Phillies got Ranger Suarez against Spencer Strider tonight, 6:45 start time as they start that 3-game series in South Philly and a 6-game homestand. I'll be with you on Locked On Phillies postcast and the Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. So make sure you guys check that out afterwards. So I'll be doing that. And then last night, if you guys didn't see this, in the NBA, brilliant. See if I can break this down for you guys quickly here. The Thunder took a 3-1 series lead in the Western Conference Finals over the Minnesota Timberwolves with a 128-126 win. SGA 40 points. He's good at basketball. MVP, as a matter of fact. Last night, final seconds of that game. I'm going to give you the play-by-play of this. Because it was bananas. There we go. All right, so the Minnesota Timberwolves playing in Minnesota are down 128-126. Anthony Edwards made his first free throw to make it 128-126 with 3 seconds left. He, on purpose, missed the second free throw. So the Timberwolves are still down 2 with 3 seconds left. SGA gets the rebound while falling to his butt. While falling to his butt, he corrals the ball and aims to throw it down court to kill off the remaining 2.1 seconds left on the clock. While the ball is being launched down the other end of the court, SGA's throws just a little bit off. He kind of throws a slider, and it starts drifting towards out of bounds around half court. If the ball would have landed out of bounds, like hit the ground out of bounds, the game would have been over. But a fan sitting courtside caught the basketball with 1/10 of a second left. If the fan didn't catch the ball, game's over. But because a fan caught the ball and it's out of bounds on OKC, Minnesota has one more chance at tying or winning the game as they're down 2. Now, unfortunately, Julius Randle threw a horrible inbounds pass, and it was a turnover, and that was that. But a fan catching the ball out of bounds led to his team, Minnesota Timberwolves, the home team, having another chance to win that game. That's home court advantage, babe. Home court advantage. That was pretty wild last night, if you guys didn't see that. That's pretty insane. Oh, that's interesting. I've gotten both these. Brian Singleton, bro looks like Sirianni and Nicolas Cage at the same time. I don't. Other people have told me I look like Nicolas Cage. I don't see it. I don't see Nicolas Cage. I see Nick Sirianni a little bit. I don't see the Nicolas Cage thing. But there you go. Fan gets assist. Yeah. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. I'll be back with you guys tonight on Locked On Phillies postcast. I'll also be back with you guys a little bit later in the day. Noon today, I'll tweet it out. Noon today, it looks like we're going to be doing a Locked On Eagles Squad podcast as well. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great Mark Cage. I think isn't his real name Coppola? He's like Francis Ford Coppola's nephew or something. Nicolas Cage. Yeah. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, everyone. If I don't talk to you, I'll see you guys in the morning for the next Farzy show. See you guys then. Birds 365 coming up on Jacob Media with Xander and John McMullen. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzan. Have a great rest of your day. See you.